Yankees are 1 out away.
Oh, I can't watch this.
From sweeping the division series. Right 3. Ball game over. Yankees win.
Alright folks, we're back here on Sports Talk Nation. Michael Cohen here with you, and we are going to talk about the New York Yankees beating the Minnesota Twins, sweeping the Minnesota Twins for that matter, in the American League Division Series as they go on to the American League Championship Series, where right now they await the winner of the Houston Astros Tampa Bay Rays Series. Most likely, it's going to be Houston. That's going to be the matchup that everyone wants to see, obviously. We have the two big powers in Major League Baseball. The Yankees, who won 103 games this year. The Astros, who won 107 games this year. Two teams that met in the ALCS 2 years ago and had that great 7-game series, as the Astros won that series that time en route to a World Championship. Now they meet again 2 years later. Most likely we'll meet again 2 years later in the ALCS. And, you know, think about what the Yankees did this week against the Twins. And we can go over the fact that the Yankees just, for whatever reason, just own the Twins. I mean, they have won. Whenever they meet in the playoffs, the Yankees seem to always win. They had including last night's win in Game 3, 13 consecutive victories by the Yankees against the Minnesota Twins in the playoffs. That's incredible. And you think about the number of teams and the number of players and different kind of teams that these two organizations have put on the field over the years, and the Yankees have seemingly dominated them every single time out. It has just been incredible to watch from that standpoint. But when you take a look at what the Yankees did, you take a look at this Minnesota Twins team that they faced. This is a Twins team that won 101 games this year. This is a Twins team that was leading all of Major League Baseball in home runs. They had one more home run than the Yankees did in the regular season. They had 5 players with 30-plus home runs. Nelson Cruz had 41. Eddie Rosario had 32. Miguel Sano had 34 home runs. Mitch Garver had 31 home runs. This was a powerful Minnesota Twins lineup, and the Yankees completely shut them down. And if anything for the Yankees, you get 2 things out of this series. You get 1, you come out of it healthy. And for a Yankee team that's experienced so many injuries this year, that's really the most important thing. You come out of this healthy, getting ready for the ALCS. And 2, you didn't have to really overexert yourself pitching-wise. You had your 3 top starters all pitch in this series once, and all pitched fairly well. Luis Severino did a very nice job, 4 innings. He got out of that huge bases-loaded jam last night. Ended up striking out 4 in the night over 4 innings. James Paxton looked okay in Game 1 against Minnesota. Gave up 3 runs. In fact, if anybody gave him the most runs, it was Paxton. He gave the 3 runs to Minnesota in Game 1. And even Masahiro Tanaka looked very good in his one outing in Game 2. Giving up only 1 earned run on 3 hits over 5 innings. He struck out 7 Minnesota Twins. But that bullpen for the Yankees, it was great in the regular season, and it was great in the postseason. That entire bullpen combined to just give up only 2 earned runs to the Minnesota Twins in that entire series. 2. That's it. They completely shut the door, whether it was Aroldis Chapman, Zach Britton, who left the game in Game 3 after stepping awkwardly on first base. He's pitched well in this postseason. Tommy Canley, Chad Green. Boy, did Chad Green get some big outs. I mean, you talk about a situation, we'll talk about the situations that he got into in Game 3 in just a moment, but he pitched well. Adam Ottavino pitched well in 3 games. Up and down this bullpen, they did an outstanding job for the Yankees. And, like I mentioned, you talk about the situations the Yankees got themselves in and out of yesterday in Game 3. First 2 games of this series, it was all about the offense. You had the big home run by Didi Gregorius in Game 2. Game 1, you had the big bases-clearing double by DJ LeMahieu that got the ball rolling for the Yankees in Game 1. But in Game 3, it was all about the defense. And I mentioned before the inning where Luis Severino got out of a bases-loaded jam. He got Miguel Sano to pop up. He got Marwin Gonzalez to strike out looking. And then he got Jake Cave to caught looking on strike 3. Unbelievable job by Severino to get out of that situation with the bases jammed and holding on to just a 1-0 lead for that matter. And then you move right along into the Fifth inning, and this is where it got kind of dicey for the Yankees. The Twins had a man on with 2 out. Yankees went back to the bullpen, brought in Adam Ottavino. Tom McKinley has started the inning. Adam Ottavino comes in, he walks Nelson Cruz, loses him to a walk. Now Aaron Boone has to go back to the bullpen, brings in Chad Green, and Eddie Rosario hits the ball hard into the hole. Looks like it's going to go into the outfield for a base hit, maybe an RBI, but a great shot by LeMahieu to range over in the shift and make the play and get Rosario out at first base to get out of the inning and preserve the 2-0 lead. And then we go into the 6th inning, and Aaron Judge making a couple of great plays, especially on the fly ball by Miguel Sano as he lifted it deep into right field. And Judge, as big as he is, he's 6'9", but still had to use his entire frame and had to jump up a little bit to get that baseball and rob Sano of extra bases, and again to keep them off the scoreboard. And the Yankees did this yesterday while holding on to basically just a slim little lead of 2 runs. And they didn't tack on really until the late stages. They got a couple of RBIs by Didi Gregorius, then the home run by Cameron Maybin. So if you are the Yankees, man, you got to feel good about yourselves coming out of that series. You really do. It was just spectacular to watch from them. And you look right now, who's really hitting the ball very well now going into this ALCS. Gleyber Torres had a huge series. I mean, he's hitting 417 in this series against Minnesota. Had 5 hits. He had 3 doubles. Had a home run. Big home run to start the game in Game 3. He was all over the bases in this series, as was Didi Gregorius, who really picked things up in Game 2 with that big grand slam that I mentioned earlier. And then you had, of course, DJ LeMahieu was really in the middle of everything. This guy, he gets on base every single time. And every single time the Yankees start a rally, DJ LeMahieu's in the middle of it. I mean, the guy's had an unbelievable season. I thought at one point this year he could have been an AL MVP candidate. Maybe he could still be that, even though the stats don't exactly warrant it as far as the home runs are concerned. He has 26, but we're in a league where guys are hitting 45, 50 home runs. Probably not going to get that kind of consideration, but he definitely should because he's been in the middle of everything for the Yankees this year. And you know what? Yankees going right into the ALCS. They're going in with a head of steam. And now you have Verlander pitching against the Rays in Game 4, which means the Yankees won't have to see him in Game 1. Maybe Game 2, more likely Game 3 of the ALCS, and that is a bullet avoided if the Yankees. Doesn't mean that you won't see him in Game 7. He'll be there. You know he will be. And the Astros are going to be a tall task for the Yankees with those 3 pitchers of Garrett Cole, Zach Greinke, and Verlander. That's going to be very, very difficult for the Yankees in this series. They're going to have to be extra patient. They're going to have to find ways to extend at-bats, maybe even take a couple of walks here and there. Even guys who don't walk often are going to have to find ways to not swing at everything. And trust me, you know those 3 guys, Cole, who struck out 15 the other day against Tampa Bay, Verlander, those guys love to rack up the strikeouts. And they know how to use that strike zone better than anybody. So it's going to be a phenomenal series when those 2 teams meet up later this week. If there's a chance the Yankees end up getting the Rays, will be interesting. That series would then open up a Yankee Stadium, so that would be a series the Yankees would like to have, obviously, to see a lesser team than Houston, but more than likely, it's going to be the Houston Astros and the New York Yankees in the American League Championship Series. NLCS, we're still trying to figure out what that's going to be. You got the Braves, Cardinals going into a 5th game, Nats and Dodgers going into a 5th game. To be honest with you, the Nats should have won that series already. They blew it. They blew a big lead in Game 3. Ended up losing that game. And then they came back behind Max Scherzer and won Game 4, so that's going to go to Game 5. But if you ask me right now between NL, AL, who's the favorite coming into this thing? Who's most likely to win a World Series? Well, whoever comes out of that Yankees-Astros series is most likely going to win the World Series. So, you know what? Yankee fans, get your party hats ready. Get your party hats ready because it could get really, really fun. So, for the Sports Talk Nation here on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe right here to the Sports Talk Nation. And also, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/OpenMicProgram, and like us on Twitter @OpenMicNJ. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Sports Talk Nation.